Okay, so today we're going to be starting division, and we're going to be starting off very simple using manipulatives, using some blocks to act out the problems. I realize that some of you may already know how to divide, and that's fine. However, I want to make sure that you know exactly what is happening when you're dividing so that you can explain to someone else what you're doing. So looking at the first problem, 18 divided by 5, the first number, 18, is called the dividend. This second number, the one I'm dividing by, is my divisor. So the dividend is the number of whatever you have. So I have 18 of something. It could be $18, 18 tacos, 18 blocks. And the number you're dividing by, your divisor, is what you're making groups of. So I have 18 blocks. So right now, I want you to go ahead and pull out 18 blocks. Okay, so I've pulled out my 18 blocks. Now I need to put them into groups of 5 because I'm dividing 18 by 5. So right now, stop and put yours into groups of 5. See how many groups you're able to make. So looking here at the groups I was able to make 3 separate groups of 5, and then I had 3 blocks left over that I cannot make a group of 5 with. So the answer to this problem would be 3, remainder 3. Now I want you to clear the blocks off your board, and we're going to quickly draw a dot picture to represent this solution. So I'm going to show what I just did with the blocks by just drawing some simple little dots on my paper. So I'm going to draw, okay, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's one group, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's another group, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, that's another group, and then I had 1, 2, 3 that were not in groups. Now I want to take the groups that I just made, and I want to show that they're groups by circling them. So right now, the little dot picture that you've drawn on your paper, go ahead and circle the groups that you've made. Now don't spend all day trying to make fancy squares or anything like that. This is just a really simple representation using either dots or tally marks to show what we've just done. So I see here that I have 3 groups of 5 and 3 left over. So now we're going to show what that looks like in the long division algorithm. So as we fill out our division algorithm, when you've got your division house, your divisor actually goes to the left and your dividend goes inside the house. So you end up flip-flopping the numbers. Now as you complete long division, I want to see a digit in the quotient on top of every digit in the divisor. So if I have a 2-digit, in the dividend. So if I have a 2-digit dividend, I want to see 2 digits in my quotient. The reason I want you to do that is it helps you line the numbers up, and it prevents a lot of silly mistakes that sometimes students make when the numbers are not lined up. So 5, how many times will it go into 1? 5 cannot go into 1, so I actually want you to hold that place open with a 0, because the 5 is not going into the 1. But 5 can go into 18, and it goes in a total of 3 times. So the answer, the quotient, goes up top. Now if I look at these 3 groups of 5, we've got 5, 10, 15 blocks in those 3 groups because 3 times 5 is equal to 15. So I want to take away the number that was inside the groups that I used. So 18 minus 15 equals 3, and this number should match up with the number of loose blocks over here. So I end up with 3 remainder 3. So 3R3. I'm going to go ahead and put nice and big in this box. So now we're getting ready to move on to the next one, 21 divided by 2. Now right now I'm going to pause the video, and I want you to go ahead and pull out 21 blocks and put them into groups of 2. So as you can see, I've got my 21 blocks here. I've grouped them in 2s. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups and 1 block left over. So now I'm going to clear off my blocks, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a picture on my paper to represent. So I've drawn out my groups of 2. You can see my 10 groups of 2. I've gone ahead and circled them, and my remainder has to be left by itself. So now we're going to fill in the long division house. So go ahead and pause the video and set up your long division. So now our 21 is our dividend. That's how many we have. Our divisor of 2 is what we were making groups of. So how many times will 2 go into 2? 2 will go into 2 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. Sorry about my sloppy handwriting here. And I subtract, and I'm left with 0. And I'm going to go ahead and drop down the 1. And so I get 1 here. And 2 will not go into 1. It goes in 0 times. Hence the reason I have 10. And as you can see, there is 1 left over. So that's a remainder 1. So I'm going to go ahead and report my answer as 10, remainder 1. Now this remainder should never ever be bigger than your divisor. If it's bigger than your divisor, you know you can make more groups. So next up we're going to do 25 divided by 3. So right now go ahead and pull out 25 blocks, put them into groups of 3. Then I want you to draw on your paper in this portion right here your dot picture, making sure to circle your groups of 3. Now go ahead and pause the video, do that, and then check and see if you got your picture correct. Okay, so your dot picture should look something like this after you pulled out your 25 blocks and you grouped them. You should have a total of 8 groups of 3, and there should be 1 that is left out of the groups. So now pause the video, set up your long division, and see if you can do that correctly. Okay, so 3 will not go into 2. So that should have a placeholder of a 0 on top. But 3 will go into 25 8 times. And 8 times 3 is 24. If you count all of the dots that are inside a circle, there are 24 dots inside a circle. And you're going to take that number away to see how many were left out. So 25 minus 24 is 1, which it should match the remainder, and this remainder should be smaller than the divisor, which it is. So we know we've done a good job with our answer of 8 remainder 1. So we've got one more problem to do on this side of the paper, and then when we're done, you're going to flip it over and do the other side completely by yourself, doing it with the blocks, drawing the pictures, doing the long division, writing your answer. Check over. Should be an easy 100 if you're paying attention. And when you're done, hand it to the teacher. So now we're getting ready to do 16 divided by 4. So pause the video, count out your blocks, and then draw your picture. Unpause it when you're done. So if you got your picture drawn correctly, you should have a total of 4 groups with nothing left out. So now go ahead and pause it, set up your long division house, get all the parts put in the correct place, and then your answer put in the correct box. So getting our final answer here. So if you did it correctly, you should have 04 on top. Notice we got a 0 when we subtracted, so there's no remainder. You don't need to put 4R0. 4 is fine without a remainder, so just put a plain old 4 and you're done. So go ahead and flip over and get the other side done on your own.